Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question that is to discuss and understand a little bit more about psychopathic tells and how you, sort of as someone maybe who had been targeted, and how that has affected you, and then how you processed and what you did, and how does it really help to kind of create your journey and put you to where you are today. Because that's very, very important. If you find that your feet are planted, on the ledge and you're scared, you have taken a wrong turn. If you're in a place in your life that you don't like, you had taken a left when you should have made a right. Or you didn't see the sign and so you kept going the wrong direction or something. So we need to kind of unpack and understand a little bit about the beginning of the journey. And with the psychopath, part of understanding the journey is the psychopath tells. This is a tell, meaning they tell you in the form of a little blurb, something usually generated out of context. In other words, you're at a business meeting and then they tell you something really strange, like as they walk out and they go, I have one of those. And then they're sort of pointing to a cup that's full of water. And then they just do strange and create new connections that create a hypnotic effect, or what Pete Walker in his book, from Surviving to Thriving, he talks about the fight or flight, which is basically ignited in you. The fight or flight, when you eventually get in a relationship with them, you're not on safe ground. Your body knows before you do. I mean, that's what's so difficult, is your body knows the truth before you're able to articulate it. The body is trying to alarm you, or you feel alarmed. You feel like you're in a big hot water, big doo-doo, big trouble. You're somewhere off the map and you don't know if you can be located, but somehow you have found yourself there. And like, how do you, why? And oftentimes it is because of these psychopathic tells, when they say little blurbs that are enigmatic, which means they are very puzzling and don't really have an answer. So your mind just begins to sort of reel and sort of fill in some answers, but usually it's done with an intention, or that is received by you as hyper aroused and stimulating, or that creates a tension that needs to be resolved. So it can create a tension that, like, wow, this person really knows their stuff and they're really smart and then they're better than me. So it might get your attention that way. So you kind of process it and go, ooh, wow, okay. Or they might say something very enigmatic that's very hyper arousing, and then makes you feel very safe and secure with this person, or stimulated and further intrigued by this person. So, it's these little tells, these little blurbs, these things that are out of context, which give them, it's like a little bit of exposure. They're just cracking the mask just a split second, and then they're putting it back on. They're like, did you get that? And then they're sort of testing those people who they have under their direct scope, under their target, almost as if they're looking through a viewfinder. You're sort of on their radar, so to speak. For some reason, one is on their radar, and that's a whole nother video. But the psychopath tells will be when they're sort of really sort of playing with you and beginning to make you unstable and unsure, and use these ploys, because what I feel that they really get gratification from, a sick gratification, is seeing people defenseless and exposed, spiritually naked. Oh my God, you did that to me. Like, oh, they like to see people defenseless, or in trouble, or in pain, or in emotional suffering, particularly that was started by something that they did, like a domino effect way back when, that's now just all caving in and then about to get you to fall down, or get something that you care about to fall down. and then you're living, breathing example of that last domino. So when they see people defenseless, unable to stop the momentum of that psychopath in all their engineered chaos that they put into motion, which is designed to throw you off, designed to destroy you, designed to ruin you, hurt you, make you ineffectual, make you dysfunctional, make you scared out of your gourd, make you hyperventilate, make you hyper aroused or hyper, sexualized so that you can't calm down, your sexuality. To be using your sexuality in wrong or inappropriate ways and violating boundaries. In other words, you're crossing the line now. You're because you've been promulgated or conditioned or programming to be reactive in such a state to get out of this pain or tension that is those oftentimes fueled by the psychopathic tells. So it's just like they will plant these seeds. Almost like yell at you and then shut the door, shame you and then shut the door. You have no recourse to discussion. So they will plant these seeds and then make themselves unavailable, poof, into oblivion, invisible, unable to process or deal with the havoc that they have planted and created. So it's kind of like they plant an evil, toxic garden that you're in and you don't know how to cultivate and you don't know how to make good out of. It literally can become that pervasive and that complete a feeling of fear. And they know this. And the psychopath knows this. So they have that little snicker, hee hee ha ha. Look at them. They can't support themselves. Hee hee ha ha. Look at them. They can't be gainfully employed. Hee hee ha ha. Look at that. They can't have a normal relationship. Hee hee ha ha. Look at them struggling and in pain. They will snicker to themselves. It is sick. It is horrific. It is literally, people will be basically put on a stake, an emotional stake, to made a laughing stock or to be literally feeling what feels to be like a living sacrifice of this person for their gratification. So what do they get gratified by? The psychopath, they get gratification from something that they want. They have an agenda. They have a place that they're going. And they do not like to be bored. They do not sit still. These are the people who are always, they have more energy than most people can imagine. Enough people, enough energy for 2 or 3 or 4 people. I can't believe, they, are, they have so much energy to work or for love or for this, usually you'll feel that experience. They will have double and triple lives. This is no laughing matter when I talk about the seriousness and the real proclivity of this. It is so complete and oftentimes of conflicting and contradictory personality. One will then eradicate or be in direct conflict with the other. How can this be coming from the same person? Oftentimes is what people cannot comprehend. And so, they're working then that corrosion and corruption of your identity from the inside, which is usually promulgated for you to be this individual in their life that's kind of like the recycle bin, if you will. No, thank you. No longer want to be the recycle bin. I'm not here to recycle your enigmatic or, your psychopath tells, because that's what they do. They use you sort of like as an outsource to then, sort of live and breathe and allow to sort of spiral out of control these enigmas, these puzzles, these statements of a puzzle that cannot be answered. An enigma, enigmatic speech, a psychopathic tell. Well, they'll say these things and oftentimes people will go, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you got that. Whoa, you're good. You're fast. You're sexy. you get me going. Usually then if you get enough of these and then people buy into it, then they're in the completely deluded state. They have basically taken ownership over this person. I mean, and I say that with no joking manner. It's like a hypnotic state where they're no longer running on their own sensibilities. They're running on the engineered chaos that has been conditioned and programmed for them to exist in and be as a stepping stone, a whatever, an outlet. I mean, it's very difficult to find the words because I think for most people, they since they don't sort of take quote unquote hostages this way, that they can't really, it doesn't have a vocabulary within them. They can't comprehend. So they literally take hostages. I think actually that's kind of a temporary hostage for a moment, for them to use as an outlet, and will use these psychopath tells, which will give you little blurbs or statements that you might have then interpreted as the positive, but you have to really look at what were they doing. They were keeping you in that numbed out, transfixed, engrossed, and hypnotized state, which oftentimes people then begin to sort of see things that aren't there. Not in a psychotic way, but you are then perceiving things in the way that the psychopath wants you to perceive them. They literally sort of take over your senses. And this might sound very extreme for a lot of people who have not experienced this. And it might mimic, what you might consider other disorders. It might be sort of a temporary state, but that person usually has a very healthy and strong personality or value system of integrity, which means a sense of integrity and authenticity, and also basically heart, more heart than this cerebral relationship that they create. It is all made up. It is deliberately created in the thought and manipulation process, and then they will give these little tells, which oftentimes, they will either go unrecognized or unvalidated, but later on, when you begin to see the mask crack, when you begin to see more of the tells, when they begin to be absent all of a sudden, when they don't respond to your text or your call for a lot longer than usual, and they're no longer there, then that's when the mask is really getting ready to drop. That's when, you're going to see the ugly truth lay barren. And that's when the shock and awe comes. I mean, that's when you go, oh, that's when you see the real fireworks, so to speak. And these are not fireworks of celebration. These are fireworks of disbelief oftentimes, in which then it can lead to shock and post-traumatic stress syndrome, where people then recoil and need to recoil into themselves. So you need to have a recoiling within. You need to come back to your own body. You need to be able to sit still. You need to have some OMG valley moments. You need to get your compass back. You need to find where your gravity is. You need to find where your true north is, not along some sort of map, emotional GPS that seeks to, hey, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you, which is basically what the big journey is, and then you're like, really? I just bought a bridge in Brooklyn, and it's, it's nothing but a pile of cement and some broken steel wires that cannot be repaired. I can't believe I bought this as a bridge, i.e., we had a connection here. There is a feeling of disbelief. It's, how can they sever this? How can they do this to someone who they had such a quote-unquote close and intimate and good relationship with? That is your side, that is your story, that is your interpretation. And then also your side is, why did I get targeted? Why I don't deserve this. You are in shock and disbelief. So you need to sort of come out of the shell shock. That's literally what it is. That's what they used to call, the post-traumatic stress syndrome was like a shell shock. In other words, You've had so many things blow up in your face that you were just there walking on, living in, that you enter a state of shock. I mean, it literally sends you for what you might consider a breakdown, a meltdown. People might feel a dissociative moment, a psychotic moment. I was scared out of my wits. I couldn't function. I can't go out anywhere. I'm afraid to look at people. I'm afraid to turn on the TV. I mean, utter fear states. This is coming out of the fog. Even though uncomfortable, even though it doesn't feel good, you must have that blind walk of faith through the fog. You cannot see. You cannot feel. It does not feel very good. Cold, clammy, scary, slimy, dark, whatever you might describe it as. Too silent, dead silence, no air, I can't breathe, emotional asphyxiation. I can't stand this. This is horrible. This is inhumane. This is horrible, intolerable. This is wrong. I mean, you might have all these things going on as a result because of the psychopath tell. They're engineering you into a relationships, an identity that is false. And then you're like, but I am not a false person. I don't identify with this shell that you have created around me. And then you're then living this shell of a life that they're creating for you, almost like a mask, or almost like a armor that you might have thought in the medieval period. It's so complete and so thorough. The lies that they might try to tell about you, the lies that they try to reflect back about you. You are a terrible person. You are cruel. You are mean. You are selfish. All these different things, just lies. If they can just pile on the lies, then eventually, if they lay it on thick enough and they have enough emotional asphyxiation where you can't breathe, you can't speak your mind, you can't level out with them, you can't have a closure or an open communication that's not based on them having a whole different set of rules and mission. It's like they have like a game plan that you are not privy to. They have a flip book that they're going, yeah, we're going to do this. And you're like, I didn't get that manual at all. Like, where are you at? You're like on page 53. And like, I don't even think I have the right book here. Like, you're like, I don't even have the same playing manual. You're like, we're not on the same page at all. Is the ultimate when enough psychopath tells build up. And they've done, they've needled you enough. They've tested the water enough. And you fell for it. Maybe, their cordiality, you gave them the title girlfriend. You gave them the title boyfriend. You gave them the title fiancé. You gave them the title my knight in shining armor. You gave them the title. What title did you give them? This is part of understanding, how you identified to the psychopath tells, because you have to unpack what you have thought and then the meaning, okay, that you put in as a result, and go, whoa, now that I know better than what actually I was getting was. So you have to reclaim your power, reclaim your clarity. And even though it's messed up, even though they'll try to make it almost to the point of unsalvageable. I mean, they will take people's lives to that level. It is not funny. It is not funny. It's kind of like the cat and mouse. A psychopath will tell you that it is like the cat and mouse game, that they will use their fangs to puncture and injure just enough so that the mouse will break a leg. The mouse will turn its circle on its back. A mouse will, have two legs broken and try to hobble along, and then they will bat it one more time. I mean, this is where they get their gratification. It is sick. It doesn't make sense. They think it's funny. They are laughing at their own, ability to be numb and over it. I mean, this is their private joke. This is where they get their rocks off, their yas out, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it is sardonic. Some people call it evil. All these different things. Whatever it is, you just don't want to be involved. You just need to go no contact. You just need to own, your own vibration and energy, which is completely different from theirs, and don't feel less than, stupid, not good enough because of this. If you bought into the story in the beginning that they were funnier, smarter, sharper, more intelligent, faster, a better earner, better, whatever it is, back in the beginning, in the love bombing, that they stand out because of, they're exemplary because, they are, I could finally sleep again, I could finally work again, whatever it was in the beginning, where did they get you? Okay, what were your voids? Because this is where they're engineering the chaos. This is where you have to have like the emotional machete and cut down all the vines. They still got one under your feet? Cut off. Sorry, Charlie. No emotional vines, holding me up here. Unpack the psychopathic tells. The things that they said to have you go off. It's okay. I'm back on the map now. I have my marching orders. I am. And I let go of all the flawed thinking that this person had created and programmed in me. I let go of the flawed thinking, and so it is. And it's okay for me to be my own thinker. It is okay to be able to think for myself. This is so much, I would say, what is going on right now in the state of the pandemic. You have to think for yourself. Now more than ever, are people individually accountable and responsible for their own health and wellness. Whether you go out, whether you, wear a mask, whether you wash your hands, whether you go around where these hotspots are. I mean, now more than ever, people are personally responsible. So you've kind of got like a jump start. You've kind of got like the reality. You've already really got like a solid grip. And it's okay to think for yourself. Despite maybe your belief to the contrary that you thought before, oh, well, you're not smart enough, fast enough, sharp enough, funny enough, you're not enough, whatever the blank is, that was flawed thinking. This is the little, this is the little hook where they try to, hook you and cause you to stumble. The psychopath tell are all about to get you to stumble and fall. Does anyone here want to remain in a stumble and fall state? Anybody want to remain there for the rest of their days? Anybody? Anybody? If you don't, just say, I don't, and make that proclamation. I refuse. I don't want to stay in that disturbed state. I do not. That is not me. That was a temporary part of my journey. That was a misturn. That was a U-turn. That was a turn to a dark forest, a dark swamp, a never land where I don't ever want to go again. It's okay because you can shut the door. Ain't no going back. Once you sort of come out and you see the light, you're not ever going back. Your light will begin to shine. You cannot ever let anyone take away your ability to shine. This is what they go for. If they can mar your ability to shine, then this is where they have got you. They feel gratitude. Not gratitude, this is where they feel, I would say, gratification or reward. It's not the same that you would feel gratification or reward, and it's on a different heightened level. And they have a lack of empathy. So they will not feel bad, remorse, or regret, have a come to Jesus moment. I'm sorry. They are not going to apologize. They're not, but they will know that they're giving you the psychopath tells, and they will tell these to the people who they ultimately are going to fully expose themselves to, because you aren't a long-range prospect to be targeted for the rest of the days. They basically want you to be able to expose them, have that all out, whatever it is, and then be in the free and clear. Wipe your hands, wipe your mind, wipe your heart, free and clear, fresh slate, moving forward, new ground, new territory, new life, new perspective, new outlook that is founded and rooted in the truth and self-dignity and self-respect, which then has the ability to say, nope, that's not in my best interest. I can apply my lessons learned now. I can change now. You might feel very alive. You might feel like so alive, and a lot of people find this very alarming or scary, to find that they're responsible. that they can correct and sort of get out and smoke out those lies, so that the lies are no longer sort of fueling them and they're no longer on that sort of stress. And instead, of running, of being fueled from the fight or flight, or from stress or fear or paranoia, you're now fueled with facing your fears. No, paranoia is not going to rule the roost here. Paranoia and suspicion and craziness and crazy making is not going to rule your environment if you declare it to be so. You have to be at that 100% committed level, and to know that you have the authority over you. New boss, new lady boss, new man boss, you are the boss. Even if you didn't believe it before, no one let you be the boss before, someone else had their foot in the door and claimed it before you did. You might have been on the waiting list to be the boss. You might have applied with some resumes and got shut down. Someone said, you're not the boss, I am. You know who we're talking about. What you believed. You are the boss. You are unequivocally have the say over what goes in your feeling and emotional state. You have the ability to take it even to a more refined level and face your fears. The degree of courage, I have courage and I feel so alive. And this is amazing. I am seeing this clearly, even if nobody believes me, even if no one has quote unquote got my back. Peace and Harmony has my back. Okay, the community here of viewers has your back. But now I have my own back. Oh my God, I feel so alive. I have my own back here. And I can do this. I literally have the courage. I literally have the audacity to claim my truth. And I know it to be so. And this I am confident in. And this the universe and the greater, bigger picture, that which is divine, will acknowledge and validate, and I will then become more and more worthy of this divine intervention because I have sought it. I have asked for it. If you then ask for the divine intervention to please uplift me, please help dissolve my fears, please forgive me for my trespasses as I have forgiven those who have trespassed against me. Part of the prayer. I mean, you literally get these things into working in your life, like literally working these prayers that you might have said early in your life, whatever religion you were. You might have said them as a young child and not said what they meant, and then parents just like say it, your sibling, and and you don't even know what forgiveness means. You don't even know what trespassing means, but you say it anyway. Now this is like in the living works in your life. You're understanding what that prayer meant. You're understanding what truth really means. You're now discovering what your voice really is. You're now understanding what you missed, the validation of truth. I mean, it's okay to crack open the case. It's kind of like an emotional case that we have to solve. We are cracking the case. You are cracking the case. Understand what the tells are, the blurbs are. It's okay to reroute yourself and erase those. Got the pencil. We're erasing that. Wash it off. Erase it. Okay, it's okay to get the emotional pencil out. Let's erase that. Psychopath towel. Nope, I'm not, puzzled and confused. I'm not a terrible person or all the different things, the truths that you were programmed. Okay, now let's write it in again. Okay, I am. Let's just write this stuff in pen, calligraphy, a mental tattoo. God, you've got some people who have whole tattoos, living my life. I saw a guy walking by, living my life was tattooed across his chest. I mean, I guess it all said it right there, living my life. I mean, you're living your life. You have, this is okay. People almost are like, are you sure? It becomes very scary. You might feel very alive, and you feel very alive because you're in the process of change. And balance it out with stability. Some people then balance it out with regression, balance it out with strength. Kick your strength into gear and just allow yourself to sit at those pivotal moments where you can acknowledge and validate yourself and your strength. It'll help to heal you. This is your buddy, peace and harmony with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out, peace in, peace be with you, and have a beautiful day.